topics, C2 communication. C2. Issues, how do we call it when we want to look back at the release and see what went wrong and what went bad?
Recap.
What?
Postmortem.
Postmortem. Thank you. Demos.
Yes.
Yes. Something else to add for the demos?
I've got a couple of demos if we have time.
And if we have time. And that's all.
It's about CodeMirror.
Ah, it's not yes. Okay, what else? Yeah, maybe if we have time, I talk about what did I do? Yeah, I'm sure Dean will show it, so I won't talk about that. So then SQL, read. What did I do also? That's it. Improvements there. Antoine, then other topics. Does anyone want to talk about something in particular? Good. Workshops maybe. We have Lime, and there was a workshop on last week. And so status of Orchard 1. We are the 23rd, so this one was merged. Remove lock from dictionary when the task has completed in the distributed lock implementation. Is it the distributed lock implementation? Yes, in the distributed lock implementation, there was a lock that was not removed when the thing was disposed, something related to that. What happened? Why did it go? So we looked at it during triage. Jean-Thierry joined us during triage because Zoltan forced him to join us during triage to talk about it, or to talk about something else actually. And Jean-Thierry explained the change and approved the change, so that's good, merged. The only change that was merged during last week. Orchard core. So last week we were the 16th. What happened? So during the meeting, Sultan updated the CodeMirror guide for RC2. Then, oh, let me filter on dev branch if I'm not already. Remove the fcore section from the OpenId module documentation because it has been abstracted inside the OpenId module or packages. It doesn't need to be a custom module in Orchard. So the documentation update, OpenId typo, signed out. Okay. Did he mean to put a dash actually instead of signed out like this? Doesn't matter much, just maybe. It's a technical name, that's weird. Fixes tenant description property. Apparently you cannot set the description correctly, it was not saved because it was looking at the wrong property. Upgrade Azure Storage. Nope. We didn't upgrade the Azure.Storage.Blobs, just the blobs. That's okay. Add returnUrl for ListPart dropdown in ListPart.DetailAdmin. returnUrl. So it keeps where we are coming from when we click cancel or something like that. Merge master into dev. This is to merge back all the changes that already RC2 and master back into dev branch, and only one thing, which is the API to push to NuGet API key. Add reply to header to workflow email task activity if you want to configure the reply to header in your email task activity. Something that I will not have done is, where is the change? That change. I will not have added double quotes just for the double quotes, because it makes the full sentence unavailable in the translation now. So maybe it's better, but there is a disadvantage of doing that. It's that we are losing all the translations for that, and people will have to redo them. And it's a long sentence. So ideally, I don't know how to do that. If we could have a way to, when we do such things and it doesn't change the meaning of a string, I don't know if we can copy automatically the old translation to the new one. Even, yeah, that, I don't know. But that's kind of sad to lose translation just to add a double quote. Add missing ContentItem property assignments for view models. So I assume for consistency. Oh no, it's just, it was in the view model, but not assigned. Interesting. Good. Updated jQuery 3.5.1. Updated Bootstrap to 4.5.0. Updated Bootstrap slider. Is it updated or is it new? Updated. NodaTime. Fixes media field value initialization on editing. I assume this is when we saw it being empty, or when we will double click or click the publish button too fast and then lose the media field. Probably that. And apparently the package lock was not updated correctly by this guy. You forgot to save the package lock file, Antoine. So it got changed in jQuery's PR because you rebuilt all the things and then it appeared. So that's okay. 4.4 for media drag thumbnail PNG under the virtual folder. I have no idea what it is. And I think path base. We have to be careful when we inject values like this using the razor add syntax inside a JavaScript call, because this will HTML encode, and this should be JavaScript encoded instead. JavaScript encoded instead. So ideally, we should call JavaScript encoder dot encode that, or put it in a div, hidden div, and read the value from a jQuery selector. here it's okay because it's explicitly generating a URL. That is probably fine because the path base is part of the URL, so that's okay in this case. So what is that? URL action. Yeah, drag the name in the virtual folder. It's general folder. This is because if you're on IIS, you have to pass a path base. Interesting. Allow zone shapes to be overridden. Whilst defining what feature it is on, so we can, anything that will be added after that, like any module, can redefine that. Yes, I see. Facebook login setting steps registration. So this was not registered. Okay. New contributor and new contributor. Job. Questions? No questions? Then let's start with the topics. RC2 communications. So still no blog post on the Microsoft Dev blogs. I pinged them again, no answers. So I will tweet the release and point to our own blog post. Either they don't want to publish it or they are too busy to review everything. But I didn't have feedback from the blog post. So we'll see how it goes. Postmortem. What went well? What went wrong for the release? If I look at...
Well, we haven't had any major issues come in with anything, so that was good.
Good validation. Yes and no, because missed language. So not that good validation. I did the setup and I didn't pay attention to that.
Is it difficult because the translations is in a different repo? Is it
yeah, but,
more
oh yes, sorry. So when we did that on the Thursday morning, we were like, okay, everything seems to work good, but we didn't check this one in particular. And we worked on this one in particular. This string, I went in every language to translate it, but never thought about checking that, yeah, it actually works now. Because everything was as were working. So I thought it was not working because it was just missing the string. No, we had the mismatch in the context. So sad, but that's okay. Next time it will be better. Good validation, probably. Let me see the issue for RC2 validation. So what's good is that we have a long list. Zoltan has made also documentation based on that. Where is that? Dated document release procedure. So we used the issue because it was easy to define the steps, and then Zoltan made some documentation based on that, a template for the release, okay. That's just a copy of the checklist, okay, plus explanations. Okay. Note that I have reassigned all the issues to RC2 if they were closed, or 1.0 if they are still open. Good validation, mistranslations. What went wrong? not very good. Timing mostly, because this blog post is still pending and the release is there. It's kind of sad. Usually you want the blog post to happen when we ship. Too long before RC2, but what we said last week is that the next release will be time-based, 1 or 2 months. And we also said we could just ship 1.0 now. That would be fine. And what else? No major issues that you mentioned, which is good. People don't say it's broken. There are some things on the forum, but I think these just like transitions, updated DLLs. I would have liked more functional testing. Just to be sure that features actually work. We have the bare minimum. Okay, anything else?
When we do ship 1.0, last time we talked about it, the intention was to ship a 1.0 and then a 1.1 maintenance release afterwards. Is the intention to kind of carry on a little bit like what happened with Orchard 1, where it's 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, 1.2.1, and ship small releases with upgrades, or what's the thinking there?
I would think we should keep the same thing unless someone thinks it's wrong. Like ship quickly small version numbers, and then if there are big changes, big breaking changes, just put it on a 2.0 branch. Unless someone thinks it's wrong, but I think this is good because then we can have a migration path from minor versions to the other.
Yep, no, that sounds great to me. That's kind of what I was hoping for, just worth asking.
I intentionally mentioned Orchard Core 2.0 and no, but just Zoltan picked on the discussion and he was scared.
I did see that, and I suppose that's a conversation. No, I did see that. I just didn't have much to say about it.
I like to always challenge thoughts and decisions. Well, I like and I don't like. If we have done that recently, I don't want to rediscuss something. But if it was a long time ago and we have new data and new information, I like to talk again and argue about what do people think about stuff. And the question was, should Orchard Core 2.0 be headless and decoupled only? And what it means is that, and we talked about it many times, should we, but I don't want to remove any feature, I just been saying, should modules care about displaying stuff in the front end, or should they just provide REST APIs and in-proc API like good services and reusable components so that devs can build a website and not expect every module to provide everything? And also be able to ship not just themes, but application templates like the blog we have today, but not a recipe that would override templates first, but a recipe that would come with razor pages and controllers and view components and everything, like you would build a blog, but that would use all the modules that are available. That would be a difference. So there will still be a blog recipe that is available, but that's like how we built a blog with Orchard Core. There will still be an agency, but that you can be like, oh, this is the razor page that will render the spa page, the single page app page. And we could have a sample application that will show I don't know, a headless app like Angular, Vue.js, whatever, just to show how to build one using jQuery, and not a module that provides the UI or whatever service, but how would you build that? So like some samples/application templates. And if you want to extend the blog application, you can extend it, or you can just create your own and copy the components you think you like. That's the idea. So I just want to have thoughts about it and people to discuss that. In the world of headless CMS, yes. Yeah, and these are headless only. We support decouple, which I think is a great balance between full CMS and headless. And we support full CMS, which I think is good for starting quickly on a website, but you quickly become blocked by the features of the modules that you use. And if you want, oh, does it do that? No, it doesn't. Oh, then I'm stuck. I can't do that. That's my concern. And people, so Terry says, totally agree. People see that because when you start building a complex website, complex application, you start quickly. That's no issue. You get a good demo. But when you have to spend 2 weeks of development just to trick the module into doing something that you want to do, then that's more painful. So with a decoupled /headless solution, that's less painful. And you don't overpromise customers.
May I share with you something that about the modules, and you said that should be independent. My team works for some WordPress sites as well. The ability to upload a theme, it's wide used ability of other CMS. Do we have any plan on this? So the end user upload a theme without being developer.
So that's a question. Do we intend to support that?
Yeah.
Yes and no. No and yes. not like a module. Like I don't want us to. Well, we tried, but I don't want us anymore to be able to send a module like a theme, like a DLL, okay, like a package, to an existing site. The solution right now we support is just reference a NuGet package and then build it and start again. Not the customer, not the user to use a theme.
Yeah. Okay, I know that. Yeah.
But we also designed, talk and / designed how we wanted to do that, because there is a way to support that. We have a micro feature right now, which is in the app data. There is a folder where you can paste stuff specifically for a tenant, for instance, like templates and everything. And we said that we could technically have a feature where you would download or upload some kind of package, but that is just containing templates. And then they will be stored in a database or anywhere we want to support the storage for that. And they will be able to be like themes, not behavior, just theming, just templates, no code, like list of liquid pages, things like this. So that will be the option we will provide, and that can still be done. So it's not about dynamically loading a module, a DLL, but it's about being able to upload custom templates, share custom templates.
Okay.
Packaged. Yeah. So that should still be doable. The main issue will be like the ecosystem of themes, because it's very specific to each recipe. So if you make a website, if you don't have a very common recipe, you can't find a common list of themes for that. So the usage will be limited. So if you create your own website, then you have to create your own themes. You won't find some themes on the web that will work for that. Not like WordPress, because WordPress is like maybe generic in terms of I have a blogging system and a page content type and so on. So everyone can make themes for that. But I'm sure, like if I take TechCrunch, for instance, okay, we had TechCrunch open earlier. So TechCrunch is made with WordPress. But I don't think that we'll be able to find I don't think they are able to take any WordPress theme, just download it, and then TechCrunch will just change. No, because it's very specific. It's no more like the blog post / page content types of WordPress. It's custom content types and custom organization. So this won't work, I think. William.
I'd have a question. So one of the nice things that Angular has with Firebase is protobufs, which are gRCP. Is there
gRPC.
a way we? Yeah, is there? And Microsoft has adhered to that standard, and I used it many times in Boeing when I was doing communications with our maps and our weather data, and it was very efficient. Is there something we could do in Orchard 2.0 to implement gRCP, and then in Angular you can use gRPC, yeah, and then in Angular you can use observables to communicate with that way, which what they do currently when they communicate with any Firebase applications.
So you mentioned Singular. Did you mention Singular?
No.
Why did I hear Singular? Okay. So what could Orchard Core do actually with gRPC, like as a module or what?
Well, it's kind of like a REST interface, or
I know what it is, but I'm just wondering what we could provide as a module to be reusable, to be useful for an app to reuse.
Well, for like headless, right? You would like get all your different blog post information from it, or you query all your blog posts,
Okay. So that could be a generic REST API that talks gRPC, maybe.
Yeah, I think gRCP is the future, or gRPC. I can't say.
It's like GDPR also sometimes, in GDPR, gRPC.
Yeah, I just call them protobufs because that's what I'm familiar with, protobufs.
Yeah, this is the underlying serialization format when you use gRPC. I assume there could be some kind of module that provides generic content API using gRPC with specific classes or codes that will help communicate. That's something that could definitely be done even today. You don't have to wait for 2.0 to do that, because gRPC is supported in MySQL core, and that would make sense. But that would be very generic services, like not as flexible as GraphQL, for instance, but probably more probably closer to what Dean showed last time with NSwag, more like a Swagger API. So you have a very specific API, and it's just a gRPC one, a gRPC endpoint, so your gRPC client that we could also provide directly as existing packages for content items to use. That's totally doable. I will not be opposed to that. The main advantage of gRPC, as advertised, is the perf, because everything is serialized in binary, what, as you mentioned, is protobuf, so it's supposed to be faster to serialize and also faster on the network because the payload is smaller. And it's also strongly typed. So when you have a client, like the clients that are generated with NSwag, you see the actual classes that you will fetch and the actual endpoints that you can request. So yeah, I could see like a generic module. When I say generic, I mean a module that will work with content items to retrieve and save content items using a gRPC API, like the initializers we described. And then each module could also have some gRPC endpoint, but that's more like a bigger decision to define some strategy for each module. At least the content items module could have a gRPC endpoint and gRPC APIs to do that. That's totally fine. It could be also in different module, like content.grpc, just such that you can enable it if you want to communicate with that. No issue with that, and doesn't have to wait for 2.0. It can be done anytime because it's completely independent. It's like the GraphQL module, it's like the Swagger module. It can be done completely independently of 2.0. Today it will work. So yep, that's a good idea to work on that.
Well, I think Microsoft just came out with the web version of gRPC, right? Just recently. So yeah, it's kind of like a web interface instead of the full 2.0 HTTP, all that. So yeah, so you're just saying go ahead and create some pull requests, huh?
I mean, well, go ahead and create an issue if you want to talk about what should be done before you do something, and then we say, no, that's not how it should be done. Because then you will redo it. But no, I mean, totally we could create a PR and get it into core. That I think that will make sense. And if not into core, it will make sense for lots of people to use that if they want. And you say that Angular supports has some gRPC support integrated?
Well, yeah, Google created protobufs, right? And 90% of their code is in C++ and C for all the web, and everything's all protobuf. So yeah, they have observables that you can communicate with that interface with gRPC, yeah, through Firebase.
Then implementing those like reactive observable stuff is a different kind of thing, because you might be able to do that with Orchard Core because we have events. So you might be able to have a persistent connection to Orchard Core using gRPC and then get updates of when a content item changes. I'm not sure that's what you want, but maybe some sites might want that. Yeah, why not?
Well, Google's made it kind of standard. That's how you interface all of your Angular is through observables.
Maybe. Yeah, try it. I'm sure you can do a nice tutorial with that, how to implement gRPC with Orchard Core and Angular using a persistent connection and detect changes, like Firebase is doing, but with content management instead. That might be a very great demo. If you have nothing to do, I don't know, I'm not sure. Maybe you're too busy. But yeah, try that. I would love to see that.
Okay, great.
Thank you for the idea. Okay, let's go back to the demos now. Let's stop talking. Thank you for the great topics. We'll talk about it later if we have time. Demos, Antoine.
Yes.
Yes, a demo about yes.
Yeah, sharing desktop. Yeah. So last week, Jean-Philippe created an issue about CodeMirror because it was a bit outdated, because it was used like this in a CSS file in the admin theme, and it was not updated. And so I changed all the views using CodeMirror, and I used the style named CodeMirror. And so, yeah. And I added a few features. So let me show you. We are now able to edit in full screen. When you are using HTML, you will have auto-close for the tags. When you edit in SQL, you will have some autocomplete pop-up for SQL. When the text is too long, you will not have an horizontal scroll anymore, so it will wrap the line. And I added a plugin to have to highlight the current line. So those are all CodeMirror's plugins. Let me show you. So if I edit an article which has an HTML field or a text field using CodeMirror editor, as you can see, the current line is in blue. If it's too long, it will be wrapped. The line number 1 is on three lines. If I press F11, it should, okay, not this one, let me show you on another page for the full screen. What else? Auto close. So if I do a /div, it will auto close tag. If I am in a SQL query, so I go to a new line and I type or, and I press Control space, it will suggest me order by, and if I do ContentItem dot control space, it is just suggesting the columns available for the ContentItem table, ContentItem index table. And if I am on the edit template and I press F11, it will go full screen. And if I press escape, it goes back to the normal mode, display mode. That's it.
Okay, and I assume every instance of CodeMirror editor can have custom properties like this. Like if we don't want auto close tags in one of them, we don't have to do that, right?
I didn't do any settings related to each field.
Yeah, the question is, are all these parameters for all CodeMirror instances by default, or is it per instance in the HTML, in the CSS HTML that you define?
It is a choice for all kind of field. So I said that for an HTML field,
okay,
using CodeMirror, and you see F11 is not
so
working for
each
them.
CSS HTML can define the settings. Okay.
Yeah. Show you in Visual Studio. So I am now using the style CSS CodeMirror, and I can add a few plugins, like for example for an HTML1, close the tag automatically. Use a style for the current line, the active line. These ones are the languages you support, so CSS, HTML, JavaScript, XML for the highlighting. And you can specify at the end which feature, which option you want to enable. So I had the close tag add-on, and I can enable to auto-close the tags.
Okay, so we can change it if we decide it doesn't.
Yes.
Like it's a text field here. It's not an HTML field, or it's not the HTML mode. So maybe we should remove the auto close tag, whatever. So that's good. Good. Looks good. Thank you. Dean.
Sure, let me share a screen here. So I had a couple of things to show today. The first one was this issue, which was a recent improvement over on Orchard 1, where you were able to use cards for rearranging your display in the admin area, as well as tabs. And then I've got the shortcodes to have a little bit of a look at too. So I've carried this PR over and made some improvements to it. So I've introduced the concept of show tabs first. We all know about, or hopefully we all know about, being able to use placement to move some of the fields into a tab in the admin area. And I've now added the ability to move things into a card. So you can have cards, content primary. And I've also added this feature allowing us to move fields into columns. So you're able to, like, this is a very common kind of block that we would use quite regularly, where we have a bit of content and we need a picture to go with it. So in this case, I've called it a column aside media block. So it's got content beside it and then a piece of media. But there's kind of no end of things you can do with it. You can take it too far. I might have taken it a little bit too far on one of these ones here that I was experimenting with. I took it a little bit too far, and they all end up getting quite crunched. But yeah, this one got a little bit mad. But it just allows you to kind of show a little bit more. Sorry?
If you resize the screen, is it responsive?
Yeah, so it's responsive. What I've done is I've broken it at medium, so it should. Oh no, actually, I need to change that. It should, when you go mobile, drop to just full width again. But I need to make a little change to that because I turned something off there. I was playing with it this afternoon. So I should probably show you the kind of placement that you can actually use. If I find where I put that placement JSON file. So the normal tab modifier is a hash. The card modifier becomes a percentage sign, which is what we did for O1 as well. The column modifier is a pipe, like a column. And then the column has a name, and it also has another modifier which allows you to say how big you want that column to be. And then you can also positional modifiers.
Formalism that will be like Bootstrap and Grid, like you could say XS3, LG5, things like this. So shorter prefix instead of media colon, but you could pass multiple, so you can then map it to Bootstrap.
Well, so the prefix is actually a grouping name, which says that all of these columns are going to go into a group. And then the post bit is where you modify it with essentially anything you want. It's it just attaches it onto the end of the column class. So you could use XS3, you can use just 3. For most of these, it's probably going to want to collapse on a mobile view. So you're not. So it's, your default's going to be MD3 3, it's going to be 3 columns at medium, but it'll be 12 at when it's collapsed. And one other thing that I did as well is the normal position modifier is the colon sign here, which says that media field is going to go first in the part section. But you can also now, by using a semicolon, adjust the order of this grouping to say that the content tab or the content section is going to be in the middle, for example. If I demonstrate that one, in this case we've shifted the left tab first, the content block in the middle, and the right tab to the end. So that becomes a modifier that only applies to this section as such. And that particular modifier is managed by the zone groups, or the zone code, rather than actually managed through placement info, as is this modifier, because I didn't want to extend placement info too much. So where this will work is where this works mostly is like, it's not designed to work with a flow layout, and there's another PR there from Mirage which improves that as well, which is looking great. But this is more about content that is kind of standalone, although you can put these blocks into these arrangements into a bag, and you can still arrange your bag items in the same way, but inside the bag rather than on the outside of a flow part where you can change the sizes there. So it's more for people that are working with very specific designs, where they want to represent that.
It's good. Like it.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get the PR finished off shortly, and we'll get it in.
Sure.
I'll stop this one now and just quickly change branches to have a quick look at shortcodes as well. Since we've got a little bit
While
of
you
time
switch, I
left.
just want to mention that I won't be able to get the meeting to last much longer. At 1 p.m. I have a meeting right after. So you can overflow, but I will be late. I will have to cut you if you want to know. Sorry.
Cool, that's all right. Well, this is just going to build. Let me talk about what I've done just a little bit with shortcodes. Sebastian showed the cool project he wrote last week, where he has named things everything correctly. It's just because I've changed branches. So what I've done is, as a concept, introduced the idea of a shortcode shape provider, which allows you to create a shortcode kind of on the fly through the admin, through the templates area in the admin, or in code. So here's a shortcode in code, which is very simple. It's just a Giphy shortcode. So while we're waiting for all that to load, and before Sebastian has to go, you would use this one, if I can spell anything correctly. Like this one would kind of be the usage of it, and you can use that in any of the HTML fields that we're supporting shortcodes in. And I kind of decided to go with Shapes because it was a reasonably simple provider to do. It just kind of harvests anything that's a shortcode and makes them available to the system. Then when it finds a shortcode,
I like it and I don't like it. I like it because you reuse something that is existing, shapes, and then you can edit them in the admin because we have a shape editor. And I don't like it because people want to write shortcodes, they will have to understand shapes. And they will be like, why do I write? What is a shape? I just want to write a shortcode. But that's a provider, so it can be enabled, disabled, and we can have other providers.
absolutely. I did it because I didn't want to have to write a new templates feature just for shortcodes, essentially. Plus, this also gives us, one of the really useful things about this is it gives us the ability to register this one first in terms of providers, so that it will always run first, so it can be used to override other shortcodes. So this one, I adjusted the media shortcode. Where did I put it? Probably is it? Oh no, I gave it a folder. So I adjusted the media shortcode to work here and produce an image tag. And I'm kind of doing this based on the idea that shortcodes will always produce an HTML snippet as a rule. But what we can do if we want to change the behavior of how this image tag looks and retemplate it, we can just move that to a shortcode.image template and do everything that we want to in here, but produce a different bit of HTML.
So did you build a shape harvester for file names, or did you build over existing shape harvesters so that I could also create code-based shape in ShapeProvider that is just by name?
I've just done it by name via the existing shape table harvesting, which is there's a little bit of a problem there. So I'm not really sure if this is how we'll go long term with it. Like, I kind of need to talk it through a little bit. But when we get to the point of wanting to get a list of these shortcodes to have a pop-up in the admin, so that when you're in your nice HTML field, you can click a button here
don't have
and say, give me shortcodes. We don't have description, but also we're in the admin thing. So if we run the code from in here to discover it, we're only going to discover shortcodes that are in modules or in the admin thing.
So you keep adding reasons for me to not like it.
Well, this is why I did it, and this is why I brought it to a demo.
Technically, I like it. Technically, I like it.
Yeah, I mean,
great.
technically, it's it's this much code to do something amazing. But that's one of the problems with it. So I have to really evaluate whether it's worth pushing through those, or whether we should look at another shape harvesting type arrangement, or possibly also just go with a copy of the templates module in another project and write templates in Liquid only. If that makes sense.
Thank you. Yep, that's all good. All good. So next week we'll see the integration without shapes. With a template like the admin template thing and descriptions and everything. But you don't have to. Too busy. You have to pick your fights.
Exactly. I mean, shortcodes is something that I'm working on just slowly.
Right.
It's a nice feature.
Okay, I will have to end the meeting now. Thank you, everyone. See you next Thursday on the same new team room, and or next Tuesday. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yes, bye.
Bye.